For nearly 3 decades, Jon Bon Jovi has been rocking out before crowds of screaming fans all over the world. The Jersey heartthrob, who sold more than 40 million albums in the U.S., is touring behind his latest album, Lost Highway. Thanks very much for joining us today, Jon.
Thank you.
All right. We have a number of questions from all over the world. I will save you going through all of them, but about 100 of them involved some variation on the theme of, will you please come and play in my country? So we're going to forward those to your tour managers, I guess. India, in particular, is dying to have you get out there. Starting with the questions from readers about your career, I wanted to go to Frederick Doe in Riverside, California, who asks, Jon, after all these years, what still excites or drives you to perform?
Songwriting. The key to all of it for me has always been songwriting. Recording comes second, and if in fact your idea comes to fruition both through the writing process and then the recording process, you want to go out and share it with as many people as possible, and that's what drives me to tour again.
The songwriting process is at times collaborative, sometimes it isn't. Aaron O'Reilly in London, Ontario wants to know if the dynamics of your band has changed over the years.
I don't think it has. I think, if anything, the dynamic has just been clearer. It's always been a team sport, being in a rock band, but somebody had to be the quarterback while somebody's the receiver, and somebody has to be the lineman. And that's how I think we've ultimately defined the band.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the positions on the team, someone has asked here if you have any particular episodes where you had strong disagreements with Richie Sambora over the creative process, and if there were any that you would care to share.
In truth, the answer is no. I think that we've all shared the same creative vision. And again, as it relates to the previous answer and the roles that each of us play, each of the contributions are equal, though some of them aren't as highlighted. So the point is that Richie and I may have creative discussions, but truly never had an argument about a direction in the songwriting or recording process.
But now, Bon Jovi as a band has gone through so many changes over the years, and the last one, obviously, to more of a country flavor for this last album. How do you guys change in sync like that?
Well, I think that, again, it all continues to go back to someone being the leader, someone being the right-hand man, others having to carry out the plan. So in the case of the band, it's obvious that I'm the leader, and it's the general direction that I feel, and Richie understands that, and then the guys have to collaborate, as their parts fit. How we've remained successful, I think, is by remaining true to who we were. Never was there a time when trends came and went, or fads and fascists had both come and gone, that we decided to jump on anyone else's bandwagon. And that's probably, in retrospect, what differentiates us from a lot of our peer group. When we grew as a band, we did it naturally without having a rapper when rap was in fashion, or pretending to be from Seattle when grunge was in fashion, or learning how to dance like a boy band when boy bands were in fashion. We just grew up and grew in public, and fortunately, 100 million people came along for the ride.
All right. Some people are still, I guess, a little bit skeptical of the country turn. Larkin Werner in Pittsburgh put it very succinctly. Are you going country on us? No, I want to clarify how the country moniker came to be. There was to better
clarify what this record is. It's a Nashville-influenced Bon Jovi record. But in haste, I started to tell people that I was, in fact, making a country record, not thinking of the several definitions of country. This is not George Strait and Alan Jackson. It's more in keeping with Keith Urban and Sugarland and Big and Rich.
Okay, so it's Bon Jovi first, country second. Bon
Jovi first and period, influenced by the Nashville sound.
Okay, excellent. Now, a lot of folks were asking about what you advise children who might be interested in sort of following in the rock footsteps. Rosemary Moak in Philadelphia says, are any of your children musically inclined, and how would you feel if someday they wanted to start their own rock band?
They're starting to show some inclinations, though I have never pushed it on any of them, simply because let them find it in their own time the way I did. And if they ever chose music as a living, of course I would encourage it, but I would always, first and foremost, just encourage it as a source of great pleasure and something that will never let you down. So playing a musical instrument is something that'll stay with you for the rest of your life and can be a good friend to you.
You have also done a lot of things outside of music. Obviously, acting has been one of them. Jesse Moon in Sinton, Texas asks, what is the coolest thing that you've had the opportunity to learn from being an actor?
Humility. That was the greatest gift given to me from acting. And I could tell you that I learned humility when I went to an acting coach who not only made you pay 10 lessons in advance and sit outside on the stoop until it was your hour, and that was all well and good, but when you are not the creative mind, when you are not the writer, the director, the producer, or the star, it adds a great humility. In essence, to use a comparison to music, you're the bass player. Mm-hmm. You perform your part, people say thank you, and then you're asked to leave, and we'll call you when it's finished. So it added I had all the exuberance of youth, starting over again in something with all the wisdom of somebody who had been through as much as I had been through. But when I brought that humility back to the band, I think it truly is the key to our success from the 90s on.
In what way?
Because if you really look back at Slippery When Wet, New Jersey, Blaze of Glory, anything I touched seemed to be platinum. Mm-hmm. Multi-platinum, multi-platinum. We had 10 or 12 top 10 singles in a row, 5 of which reached number 1. Slippery When Wet was that milestone album that you're really lucky if there's 50 of those in the careers in the history of the pop music culture. Mm-hmm. So to go and be on that kind of role, it would be very simple to sit around and think that the music is that genius and we're that brilliant. And many a career right at that point was the turning point for many a band. They either went on and grew as individuals or they imploded. And I obviously can cite for you many an example, but it all goes back for me to the acting and the humility that I brought back to go on and keep the faith, etc.
It's interesting talking about the sort of the newer songs versus the older ones.